Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm super excited to welcome our guests in a moment. First, a public service announcement. This is going to be episode 46 or so, December 3rd, 2023. Thank you so much. Over 1/3 views or visits to the channel as a whole. Lorna Burns episode, I think that was August 6th, episode 29, has broken at this point 1,900 or 2,000 views. That's our record. We're a small channel with a big footprint. We also have unbelievable guests. Today is no exception. I'm super excited to introduce her again in one second. But public service announcement. This whole thing on YouTube runs with likes, comments, shares, and obviously enjoy the programming as well. But also if you could subscribe. So that means hitting the button. We're here to entertain you. We've been doing it all year. We've had just, again, high, low, left, right, all types of experts from all over the world: Ireland, Portugal, France, Germany, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. It goes on, Czech Republic, US Virgin Islands, USA, Canada, and so on. And also such different backgrounds. Super excited to have Australian actor Ian Stenlake coming on, for example, Raymond Moody. Ariel Ford is gracing us as well. It's just unbelievable, all the different guests coming on. Everyone's super special. But let's get to our present guest, Portland area in Maine, Jen Cabot. You can find her at jennifercabot.com. Jennifer, as you spell it, C-A-B-O-T. She's a transformational spiritual coach, absolutely high energy. She helps people tap what they need to tap within to let go of the details to be all they can be. And I'd like to welcome Jen to the program.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, thank you very much. And we met a while back. It could have been in the spring or summer. Everything kind of blurs together. And I was super excited to make your acquaintance. Even more excited to have you on the show. I think people would do well to take a look at your offerings and to tap you down the road, or at least to keep an eye on what you're up to. Can you share with us when you hung the shingle out to do this type of work versus stuff started happening and you had to own it? When did you first kind of go into business full time as a transformational spiritual coach?
Yeah, this is a loaded question and getting sweaty as we speak the energy is moving. So thank you so much for asking. I feel like I have to go back a little bit before I can answer that question. Always super highly sensitive, really dialed in, but I never had the language, never had the context. I just always knew. And for me, at the ripe age of 21, I was a school counselor out on an island off the coast of Maine. So we had 65 kids, K-12, 350 people year round on this little island. And I remember pulling up to school and I would get a download as to who was going to be lining up at my office and what they would need. Except I thought, well, doesn't everyone? Isn't this sort of the jam? Isn't this the MO? Isn't this just how it goes? And so every day, from kids to staff, people just be lining up to come in and out. Except I didn't have boundaries. So as you could imagine, I just burnt out. I flatlined because I kept carrying and carrying and carrying. So it really wasn't until a pretty significant catalyst in my life, where I sort of flatlined emotionally. I experienced my emotional death and at the same time experienced my rising. And in that moment, I just knew there was such like an inner alignment around like the time is now. I had no idea what that even meant, but I just knew that through my former husband's affair and the divorce, I was I was catapulted onto my soul's path. And so I left the very political world of social work and really just launched blindly, but also divinely guided in this really beautiful path. Found myself at the University of Santa Monica, where I got to explore kind of my gifts and energy and started really gathering the language. And then from there, came back to Maine and just thought, okay, like I got to bring this to Maine. The medicine needs to be here on the East Coast too. So I guess at this point, it's been about 9-10 years in the making of me outing myself as a psychic spiritual coach and offering readings and really just the deep dive work with my clients. But the journey has been packed. It's been a really full 10 years of just owning and owning and owning over and over and over who I am.
Beautiful. Can we go back to the school though for a second, and without any names or anything, whether it's just staff or student, that's good enough. Can you give us just a couple of scenarios of you'd pull up to school, you'd get a feeling, they would show up, you'd know how to address it, and obviously there's an energy transaction. Can you just give us a bit more flavor there of how beautiful that was? I know if you don't have boundaries, you end up, helping the energy off of them. They walk a smoother path, but it piles up on you. We'll get to that a little bit later about boundaries. But can you share with us just how, in a way, it must have been very fulfilling at a personal expense, but helping folks that way. Can you share with us just some of the typical ways that you did that?
Yeah. So one thing, like now I can look back and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what was happening. So being a highly energetic being, there's a certain vibration, there's a frequency that comes with that. And, island communities can be a little shadowy, a little darker, a little dense, right? There's kind of the stuckness there. So there would always be this moment of like opening the doors to the school and actually feeling my energy sort of bouncing off of like the school walls and just kind of feeling the impact of my presence and just owning that alone inside of all of these meetings, inside of all of these classrooms. And so for me, I really just felt this super strong desire, need, urge to just get back to basics with the kiddos. Like, just what can I do to get them back to center? Because it's such a small community, there were so many eyes on. So kids couldn't be kids, right? They couldn't lie, they couldn't mess up, they couldn't play around, horse around. They just had so many adults micromanaging them. So for me, it was more the sense of like, well, how can I support them in sort of opening up their own freak flag and being themselves inside of these containers that are so highly, highly monitored. So my work was a lot about that, like going in and feeling the pulse and then realizing like they just need hugs. They don't need all these adults poking and prying. They just need someone to go and play kickball with them. They need connection.
Hmm.
And so a lot of my work within that community was bringing the connection, the community, bringing it all together. So I would just receive tons of information around kiddos and really who too were highly, highly sensitive. It's sort of like, okay, so this is what's coming in. So this is how I'll relate it. It's sort of like a woman who is in the process of birthing her child, and the physician is saying, push, and everything in her body is saying, not yet. One more contraction. So it's that sort of feeling, right? There's stress, there's pressure, there's angst, and adults are saying, we need to move, something needs to happen with this kid, they're uncontrollable. And I'm saying, no, don't push, not yet. Listen, get quiet, let them come into my space, let them get, cozied in, let them, receive the medicine of nourishment. And so every single time these kiddos that were, deemed unteachable or right, and all the labels and all the testing, my goodness, would they get all ooey gooey in my space, like just like nestle into this like mothering, nourishing energy. So again, I now have the language for that, what that was, what my impact, what my energy brought to that community was connection and warmth and compassion and just, we're all humans here trying to do the best that we can. And again, for me, I would receive information around, the principal. He would spend hours in my office processing his process and processing the process of other, but I was 21.
Wow. Okay.
I was young carrying that system, but I did, because I have these broad shoulders, like I could carry it until I couldn't.
Was there a
So
different dynamic going on with the staff at all, or the kids were one way? Can you just share, just like you did with the kids, can you share with us how you handled the adults?
yeah, so the adults were more childlike than the kiddos were. Like the adults needed more hand-holding and love and connection. I mean, the kiddos have it figured out, right? They just needed a safe space to be able to air out their truths, because they were just constantly surrounded by adults that had their lights off and, trying to tell them how wrong they were because they were kids. So with the adults specifically, I called it the neutral team. So we had like this little group of staff that we were really committed to bringing activities, movement, dancing into our meetings, like just like ways to connect and move and shed and just let go of these burdens and heaviness and woe is me. Because the staff there was so much pain because many of them were born and raised on the island, and now there's just all this, they're just stuck in this dysfunctional family, really. And here I was, just this ball of light, like, hi, like, let's play, let's just, again, come back to center. Let's have yummy food at our staff meetings. Let's bring in some music. So that was sort of, I was the liaison, I was the Uber connector, even with the staffing.
Oh, I love it. Look, I've got a connection to Nantucket, and it runs a bunch of different ways. My mom's buried there, but my mom and dad actually worked there during the summer that I was, the 9 months. But hundreds of people have met them, so don't view this as any one way. But that was probably a year or two after Nantucket. I've got cousins who run some businesses there, family homes. My first job out of college was for the Nantucket Police Department, and there were no jobs. It was like a recession going on. I'm going to guess it was around the summer of '91. No jobs, no dishwashing, no waiting, no landscaping. And those are the types of experience I had. So I'm in a police station getting a parking permit. It was a new thing for cars back then, optimistically thinking I'm staying on the island, and a guy quit. And it was the first time I was publicly funny because there was a lot of heaviness. I jerked a thumb in the air and I said, does that mean there's a job opening here? Quick as a whip. I'm sure it was an angel helping me. And I got interviewed half an hour later by the chief, and I got sworn in the next day. So I was like a meter maid, got to ride the mountain bike. And what I was going to get to is Nantucket is the epitome of a small island town, 14 miles by 3 miles or something like that, 26 miles of beaches. Yay. But everyone knows each other's business. So unless somebody in the family is a flight attendant or a pilot, and you can get free tickets, or you're a fisherman, or you're good at golf and you can park it, you have to have a meditation practice because you're on top of each other and there's no privacy.
Yeah. It's intense. And it's usually self-regulated. Like, there was no law enforcement. And we were an hour off the coast of Maine by a ferry that left only 3 times a day. So it got, yeah, you can feel that.
No airport.
There was a little like mail plane that you could take a hopper flight off of, but I mean, people usually just kind of hop on the ferry. But yeah, you really feel the smallness in the winter months for sure. It gets really quiet and really dark.
I always tell people, go to Nantucket July and August. June is 50-50. The water's a little too cold. But if you want it a little quieter, the first 3 weeks of June. If you want it all to yourself, September, and it can still be warm waters. Okay, so let's give a teaser to the audience. You've come a long way since then, and boundaries are something we all should acknowledge, should be practicing. Good luck with that, because I have yet to meet a person who doesn't say my problem is, my situation is about work, or doesn't gossip about the entire staff and what they just did over the weekend at the party, at the business meeting, at the retreat. It's just what we do, but we don't realize we're mingling energies that we don't need to mingle, and we're bringing it onto ourselves. So how can a person establish good boundaries? And can you just maybe take the big picture, the 50,000-foot view on boundaries first? Explain to us, what is a boundary?
Well, to be crystal clear, boundaries are foundational, not situational. And that's typically where we get tripped up on. And you have to decide first that your piece is non-negotiable. Because then at that point, you can prepare yourself to follow through with what you are saying are now standards for ways of relating, and who then has the right to your energy and under what conditions.
That was incredibly said. That is a top 10 moment of the year. out of, we're not at 50 episodes yet, but we do have episodes booked into March. So just to give a little plug for my own show, I've got to say that was so incredible. Can you circle back and say that a different way? Because I personally would love to hear that again.
Okay, you want to hear that a different way. Let me see if
Yes.
I can say that another way. Okay, let me say it this way. You are the only one that can decide what it is that you're open to tolerating. And if you're open to tolerating chaos, drama, and trauma, then you will continue compounding that. If you are no longer open to that, then you'll begin doing your work, because we all have work to do. So all of this comes with pain. It comes with pain to not have boundaries, and it comes with pain to have boundaries. So this is not about escapism. So this is why sometimes clients will come to this conversation with boundaries, looking at it from a space of situational, right? Okay, I'll do that work if it means that I don't experience pain. And it's like, no, because you are calling yourself forward in a very integral way that comes with growing pains. The only thing that we're ever choosing between is to either shorten our experience with pain or to prolong it. So, but there's pain. So when you decide what your non-negotiables are, like your own red flags, other people's red flags, what you actually, the payout from that work is more joy. But you have to be the one to decide what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And again, it's not situational. It's a very foundational, because these are my standards. This is my standard of living. These are my values, because your alignment is uber precious. And this notion of like jumping in and out of alignment, it just becomes too, right? It's unbearable.
Okay, we're going to digress, but still be completely on this topic. Can you give us a quick reminder of how to do a reminder for ourselves during the day? We get out of alignment. We watch the news. It's international this, international that, politics this, politics that. How can we quickly take a breath, do something to get back to our heart and back to what you were just talking about, back into our center? Can you give us a quick one? And then I want to get back to that topic.
Yeah. So a really quick way, so to be clear, we can only be in our heart when we're regulated. So it's actually about getting in our bodies first. So a really great way, one, you will know 100% of the time when you are out of alignment without a question, because you won't feel well. You'll feel off. You'll feel, we call it anxiousness, we call it overwhelm, we call it irritability. Like you'll feel that vibration. So that's the feedback that you need around knowing that you are now dysregulated.
It could be anything though: scratchy throat, sore back, muscle, something.
Yeah, because your body is a finely tuned vessel into, like, your energy expresses itself through your body, through these aches and pains, through the subtleties. Often our intellect is the last thing to come on board, to be like, oh, that's anxiety, right? That's the last thing. We get all this other feedback. So this is the cool thing about doing the work, is that you start to learn how to read your own body, how to intuit what you're intuiting, like how to transcribe what it is that you're intuiting, right? So a really great way, so two ways, this is coming through just because it's really cute. When you feel a sensation of offness, just ask yourself, where are my toes right now? And that typically will get you back in your body, so you can start to feel them from the inside out. And breathe, right? Oftentimes we're not breathing in those kinds of things. If you're feeling like taking it a step further, you can really push yourself to just own that, like, yep, I chose that. Like, I chose to plot myself down and, doom scroll or social media, whatever. Like, I chose that. Just really holding on to your power that way, so that then you can really check what else is running.
And so I'm going to bring up a random example. You're an event coordinator at a convention place, like it could be Vegas or LA. You're the fifth person down, you run events. Big organizations come in. It's going to be 6,000 people for the weekend, 50 booths, 100, 200 booths, and you knock yourself out every time. You spend all your energy. You don't get it. you love what you do, you spend yourself to the point where then you're wondering why you're back, laid out for 3 days after the event has come and gone. So this is the type of clue. I see this a lot in a lot of different folks out there. They pour everything they've got, but they don't get it that they're sacrificing their own health, wellness, well-being, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't have to be like that if they're in a more balanced place.
Well, but it does have to be like that if you've got an issue with control.
Hmm.
So here's the thing, right? All of that is happening for them. All of the overwhelm, the exhaustion, the complete, like the depletion on the other side of that, because it's actually the whole intention of those sorts of experiences. It's an act of surrender, which then means that you are opening yourself up to receive support, which means that you're advocating for what you need versus like, oh, I got to do it all, hustle, hustle, hustle. It's me and my vision and my thing. No one else gets it. Right. So there's a lot of layers to that. It's not linear. There's a protector part in there that shows up as control. And then there's a perfectly divine story, crafted story on the other side of that, right? Around like, I always have to do it. It's me and me, right? Yeah.
No one else is going to do it. How else is it going to get done?
Yeah. And it's mostly because then there's often inner kiddo versions of us that are getting really insecure.
Or the death of parents, or a mishap, trauma, car accident, whatever, something that you haven't let go of that's propelling this dynamic.
Yeah. And so then there's protector parts. So this is where I know this is like,
so good. You're really good at this. I love the communication. Like, keep going.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I get off on. So this is the deep dive work that I love to do with clients where I'm like, yes, and there's always these tethers into these core wounds, and our core wounds have symptoms.
Yeah.
And control is a symptom, analysis paralysis can be a symptom. Like there's all these ways that
we know all about that in fantasy football. Okay, but look, it's clear you've got something going on for a skill set, and I'm getting goosebumps everywhere on this. So like, we're going to get back to your skill set, how, let's say, Sarah Jane or John comes in from Chicago or from London to see you, and how you might taste the wind, taste the air, actually get a download, or have the universe, their angels, talk to you. We're going to come right back to that. Let's go back to your past, because you had to clearly have gone through the ringer on a bunch of stuff so you could own it yourself and then be able to do this for others. Now, I don't want you to share anything that you wouldn't be comfortable sharing, not necessarily at a cocktail party, but on a show that could be reaching millions in the next few years. So I know there's a sort of a distinction there, but you're not back on that island, so don't worry about the cocktail party. What I'm talking about, though, is what could you share about the rough patches for you, and then how it was kind of like your university, whether it was night classes, dream time, daytime, but also I suspect some active soul searching and just being like, I got to learn the ropes here.
Yeah. Well, I really quickly, so through through the divorce and that whole thing with the affair, I really woke up. So I saw him as a little boy, and I knew this isn't about me. This is about him and his story. And the part that is about me is that I am the common denominator in all of my relationships. And every single one of them has ended in profound tragedy.
Ooh.
Or trauma. Yeah. Everything from, suicide from the last partner 4 years ago, like it's just been this compound. And so I'm like, what is happening? I'm the common denominator. So I would say definitely these last 5 years have been a deep dive into the space of just the way that I was choosing to hold trauma inside of me.
Mm-hmm. And
really was in the space of self-punishment, judgment, critique, working hard for love. I just didn't understand. So what that equated to was a chronic track of self-abandonment. And it really, with my last former partner's suicide, that really hit home in such a traumatic way for me that I really had to look like at my own, like, wait, I'm the red flag. I'm the red flag here, right? I'm choosing harm even when everything inside of me is like, no, 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 that's death. Don't do that. And I'm like, I love red flags. Watch me, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, right, that stems back into childhood stuff and my connection with my father, right? All those things.
Yep.
So the thing though about me too is that I get off on a good deep dive. So I'm like wired for the growth, wired for the healing, wired for the work, really truly. I wasn't scared of it. And um I also felt super compelled to then share that with others, where it's like I want others to drink the Kool-Aid, if you will. Like I want others to have this kind of breakthrough, but it's come with a ton of practice and every day, recommitting to not falling asleep. And like I can no longer afford to continue pushing myself over the cliff's edge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
uh,
a bit like a hot stove. Once you've touched it at least a dozen times, you start to figure out, hey, that's a hot stove. And maybe I shouldn't waste my time and burn my hand every time and wait 6 months for the recovery. The hot stove is the brain, in my opinion. And something that came to me before the show, which now it's making a lot of sense. Zen, Buddhism, there's something called Is That So? So there's a million examples of this and tons of parables, koans, whatever they're called. But we'll do it in a practical, modern, societal way, which is you win random clearinghouse, whatever it's called. You win $10 million. They knock on your door, and if you're a Zen monk, you would take that $10 million check and say, "Is that so?" And
right.
maybe a month later, they knock on your door and they're like, "Oh, we got the wrong recipient. We need the 10 million back." And you hand the check back and you say, "Is that so?" And there's a bunch of those examples. It's a great way of putting a pause before you jump for joy, before you start crying and about failure, disappointment. So it's, in a way, the bigger metaphor is letting go of failure and achievement, to just be in the heart and see past those types of ripples. Can you talk to us more about your development, how it's come along, and then now back to your practice? So when people walk in the door, but can you tie that all together?
Yeah, let me see if I can grab that.
Yeah, grab it. And you're really good at grabbing stuff, so go for it.
Okay. No, great. So I would definitely say that my homecoming was the same day as like my emotional death. And when I found the University of Santa Monica, I don't know if you are familiar with that programming at all.
Which program? Because there's like Pacifica Graduate Institute, if I got that one right. There's like 3 out on the West Coast, but Santa
Yeah.
Monica's program was what exactly? Holistic?
So the University of Santa Monica, they only have one program. It's a master's in spiritual psychology.
There we go.
Yeah. And so so everything inside of me, for whatever reason, I was like, I know just what to do. Take my alimony and put myself in this program. So I was flying out once a month for 2 years because I was also a single mama now, doing this whole crazy thing. Snagged my master's, and it really just jolted me into such alignment. There were just so many things that were activated. And one of them was really truly like the gift of sight. Like I could no longer deny the gift. I could no longer deny the presence. I could no longer deny the connection. Whereas before it was just kind of this cute, like, no, 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 no. I'm just really nice. And I just know things, right? So I really began the work of accountability, and with that comes, serving in this way comes with a ton of responsibility. And so fast forward, working with clients also meant working with myself around integrity and really truly eradicating, doing the work that I needed to do to eliminate the distractions that kept me out of integrity, where I was one way here, but then a whole other way in my relationships, or one way here and looking to be saved, or one way here and getting off on being depressed. Like I really had to sit with, like, wait a minute.
Can I interrupt real fast with the Gandhi story? And I think this has relevance. Yeah. So a mom and a kid go to see Gandhi. This is another one of those old stories. And the mom's like, hey, he's eating too much sugar. Can you just tell him to stop eating sugar? And Gandhi's like, come back in 2 weeks. And so they come back and Gandhi's there and they sit. and he says, stop eating sugar. And the mom's like, why do we have to wait 2 weeks? He's like, well, I needed to quit eating sugar first before I could tell him to quit eating sugar. And is that a little bit of what we're talking about?
A little bit. I mean, mind you, I've been serving all along. My practice initially began more so as Reiki.
Mm.
Reiki really was kind of the gateway. It was the breakthrough for me where I really learned more so around the energy of compassion and really truly what self-love was. And I only knew that because the overwhelming presence of my spiritual community would bring me to my knees every single time I would offer a Reiki session. I would cry, or when I would give myself Reiki, because I'd be like, oh my God, like there's love and I'm a part of it, because for so long I was like adamant that I was not lovable. I was like, no way. And I'm going to show you how unlovable I am. I was just convinced that it wasn't for me, everybody else, but not me.
So
And
that t-shirt is gone, and you've transformed from, do you still do Reiki at all, or nah, not as much? Oh, you do?
yeah, it comes and goes. It's not as, I don't necessarily lead with it, but it's always there. And some of my clients will ask for it. I don't teach it as much as I used to, but I do, right? It's just not, there's other facets of me that are really wanting to take over right now, and that's okay. I kind of like the spiciness. I like how dynamic my practice is that way. But yeah, Reiki definitely ushered me into this whole other realm of like, okay, I can no longer deny
Yeah.
that I am
There's a
connected.
lot of different types of Reiki practitioners out there, and I always have found this interesting. I don't get to talk about this very often, but I like to say there's 20 buckets of Reiki folks out there, and I already think I know at least which end of the spectrum you're in, because there are some Reiki folks who feel the energy. They know what the color is, but they can't see it. They're wired not to see the flows of light, as they either hand on touch, don't touch. Others that see it, I believe you would be on the seeing part, blatantly seeing. Do you see
Yeah.
orbs on people automatically, or when you turn it on?
Yeah. Well, because so Dr. Yusui, he's one of my ascending masters. So he comes in and he's really quick to share with me the essence of whatever client I'm working with. So it's everything from, spirit animals come in with messages all the time, which is so sweet. I'll remember my first Reiki session, paid Reiki session. I was so nervous. And this gentleman came in and he sat, on my Reiki table, and it was so distracting because this whole entourage of lions came in and they sat underneath the Reiki table. And I, just supported myself in speaking truth, because integrity, right? I was learning about integrity. And he chuckled because he was like, well, I am a Leo, And I was like, oh, well, your entire like Leo lion posse just came in, to protect you. But yes, so for me, it's everything. Deceased family members will channel in colors. I see their soul path trajectory. It's very animated and vivid. Spirit animals come in just with specific messages around whatever they're navigating.
Well, can we blow some sage? We did this before the show. So we did this also, like, I don't know, it was a year ago, 6 months ago. It feels like it's been 2 years, but it hasn't.
No, it hasn't. Yeah.
No, and so what I was going to suggest is we're not going off script. We've done this early in the show before, and I just think it would be appropriate. I'll blow some sage, 3 angels. But now that you said spirit animals, I never get to do spirit animals anymore. So red-tailed hawk, a hummingbird. I wrote down tiger. It'll be this tiger here. But this tiger is not a spirit animal. He's more the divine mother tiger. So action, action, action. Don't worry if it's a he or she, but it's a tiger. Literally, even yesterday, you could put a hand out in the room and feel the tiger walk by. A lot of us would have to close our eyes to allow for the fur. But my point is, a lot of people watching are super sensitive, or they're this far away from being super sensitive. So I'm here to say to anybody watching, this is 2025, 2027. It doesn't matter when in the future. Just trust more, allow more, love more. If it's words, it's probably egoic thinking. Get rid of it. Let go and let these spirit animals, let our guest, let the sage smoke, let the angels, I probably skipped something else, do their thing, do their jobs. And all you have to do is receive. It's hard and easy to learn how to receive. A lot of us fight it all our lives. It takes 2 lifetimes. Being in the heart is receiving all. And let me find a lighter, some sage. please amend what I just said, because you're really good with language and you know how to laser in. So I think you have even a more concise way to say what I just said. So let's do it. You're on the spot, grab from the air. What did I just say? Rephrase it for us if you don't mind being put on the spot.
Well, oh, okay, cool. There's this messaging that just came in around believing is seeing. And really like leaning more into, most of us up until this point collectively, we have to see it in order to believe it. And it's the no, yeah. It's we're rewriting the script. This is the last little message coming in, because it's actually not mind, body, spirit that we're tending to. It's spirit, body, and then mind.
Oh, you might have to rename. I think you just renamed my panel series. Instead of MBS, it'll be SBM, I guess.
Yeah.
Or SMB. I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I'll have to go redo all the thumbnails. Yikes.
Or not.
We'll show the transformation as we do. Speaking of which, we have a panel coming up. I'm organizing one with Echo Bodine, Ariel Ford, and there's a third. I have coming up, though, Ewan Briock, Welsh theater director, actor, and also non-duality teacher with Leanne Whitney, who's fantastic consciousness scholar, Jungian therapist, and more. And Paul Sugar, who's already been on 2 panels. He's my ringer for those types of things. Here's Sage Smoke. I already know that our guest, it's Jen Cabot, jennifercabot.com, CABOT, in Maine, super talented, is catching the sage smoke. I'm going to offer up to everybody out there, instead of going linear, why wouldn't you want to catch the scent of flowers as well? Lorna Byrne in Ireland, the Irish angel mystic, never smelled the sage. She smelled daisies and roses. Jennifer McLean in California, Laguna Niguel, smelled 3 flowers plus sage. So don't have any limits. What are you catching in addition to the sage, Jen?
Yeah, there's juniper that's here for sure.
And we did cedar before the show on top of the sage, so it's shifted. Well, thank our angels for that. And look, if you're having trouble at home, my only rule or structure, or not device, but yeah, the only words, just set your intent. And here's the way I'd suggest it. Take it with a grain of salt. You have to own it. Angels, get me out of my head, into my heart, make this nice. I'd love to smell sage and more. Surprise me. Amen, rock and roll. Thank you. Whatever way you roll, just make it your patented method of making a request. But I'm going to blow one more time. If you personally want to see sparkles of energy around you, keep it to yourself, share out loud. Anyone at home can see, we'll call it pixie dust, but from angels, from fairies, from the crew. It could be from everybody. See a little bit of light. It could be at my end, could be on the sides of your eyes, peripheral. And breathe, breathe, breathe. If anybody needs help, 1 millimeter open, unofficial rule. The once a year breath.
Yeah, once a year.
Or for the physical, when they had the stethoscope on you, because otherwise, you know, you're breathing all the time. And I think that's the ultimate irony. You're breathing all the time, but are we really breathing? I don't know.
We forget. Many of us don't feel like our bodies are safe. So we cut it off.
Okay. And if you'll get a beautiful compliment from Joy, you can keep it to yourself or share it out loud. But then we'll do something for the audience. What do they need to remember? Which I think we've already been getting tons of that today. What's Joy say personally for you? You can share it out. I think you should share a compliment out loud.
She just keeps saying that you are the gift.
And I heard brilliant job. Okay. So go ahead and what does she have for all of us, just to keep it easy and flowing and fun each day?
Yeah, there's something here around feeding your spirit with play every day.
Love it. And then, I'm sorry, Joy's the ambassador communicator. You guys, I've got a book, watch the other shows, go to the website, you'll figure it out. And if you've watched this show before, you'll know who Joy is. Here's Charlotte, everybody's favorite school teacher from childhood, with words meant to help you expand. Think of her as Audrey Hepburn's sister, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, even though there's no such thing.
Yeah, she's got a lot of energy right now around standing still. To rest. There's a lot of, it's like to listen, standing still and listening.
Yeah, I would just say make sure you unplug from the hubbub, and anytime you want to tap into pure stillness is probably the word. You can do that. Just remember to actually want to do that. Good luck with that twice a month. Okay. But if you could do it twice a day, you're a rock star. She has said 7% less thinking a week a day is the Olympic gold medal for letting go. So it's not realistic that you're just going to let go of thinking, become enlightened, and float 1 foot off the ground. Not in the cards for humanity right now. This one's a Pacific princess. Please.
Hold on. Yeah, she just has a little visual. There's something here about forest bathing. And and I've been doing this too, which is probably why it's coming through, but putting our hand chakras on trees and just really taking a moment to breathe with the tree. The trees are medicine right now.
Can you talk to us about trees? Because I mean, I know we talk spirit animals. It's almost like a parallel category or same shtick, different words. Talk to us about trees. What's the best way to approach a tree? That's such a great way to say it. Is there a proper way you make your intro?
Yeah, is there etiquette?
Yeah, I have never asked it that way because I wouldn't have ever thought about it, but it's actually hilarious to bring this up. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I worked with a shaman who was also my psychotherapist for quite a while, and you know, he would teach to this. Actually, he would speak a lot to this, where you don't necessarily want to come to a tree head on. It's sort of side two, and they are incredibly medicinal. And you'll actually feel, because there'll be like a magnetic sort of pulsing that happens. Yeah. So he's very, and it's also a very intuitive pull. I remember, okay, I'm going to share this because play is in the house. You know, I'll never forget my brother when he found out that I would trail run the mountains barefoot, and he would be like, so wait a minute, are you like hugging all the trees, or like he was like, what is happening with the trees? You know, but it's not. I don't feel drawn to all of the trees. Some of them feel sick to me. Some of them feel, you know, tired. And some of them feel really vibrant and alive and animated. And so those are the ones I'm drawn to. But yeah, I guess there is an etiquette around approaching a tree and spending time with it. And also giving it love in return. It's not just about, you know, taking, but also giving.
When I was in Austin, I was in Austin for 10 plus years, San Antonio now, maybe on 3rd or 4th year. There was a trail. It's on the edge of a national park or something. So it looked like Jurassic Park with this giant metal fence. No dinosaurs, though. Some wildlife that got pretty intense. Giant pigs. You'd have those snakes that one bite and you're not getting any antivenom. There is no such thing. And coyotes and even one wolf one time. But there's a giant tree at the halfway mark. And so I would take the dogs and go running. This tree you would want to put your hands on.
Yeah, look at that.
And go ahead. And Jen, with your permission, I'm putting you on the spot, but I don't think there is such a thing for you. This tree was nicknamed by one kid Ocean, I think, or that was for Joy the Angel. I forget which is which. But this tree could talk to you no problem and was the biggest thing around. So you can listen right now. I know it's an iPhone, 2 computer screens, and this is a different city that the tree is in, but it doesn't matter.
No,
And
no,
you can hear.
yeah, it has a lot of eagle sort of energy attached to it. Like I just keep hearing bird's eye view. So take it to the canopy. So this tree is all about the reminder of the canopy. Oh, this is so cool. Let me see how to articulate this. So it's about learning how to stay super anchored and grounded even within the chaos. And this tree has been through some stuff, right? Like it's bendy and all over the place. Yet trusting in that your core is strong enough, your trunk, and as you scan it, looking up and watching your canopy sway in the heavens. This is where we actually, so it's both. It's learning how to be rooted but not rigid, and also to be in a space of flow so you can receive and travel the spectrum within the guidance. So it's got a lot of like eagle kind of energy to it.
We're going to go back to Joy because Joy knows this tree very well. What does she have to say about that particular tree?
She wants a little bit of a tree house in this tree. She's kind of like hanging out in this tree. She likes this tree. Well, it's okay, but the tree is rooted. There's a lot of wisdom in the stillness. It's not rigid. right? There's nothing rigid about that. Okay, this just feels important because I just felt it in my chest actually. Many of us right now are not grounded. We walk around collectively, kind of in these frazzled space. Many of us fly around, even when we are intuiting. We're not embodied. We're not in our bodies. Um, Yet, in order to really transform, we have to bring all of that medicine, all of that knowingness, and embody it.
Hmm.
We have to integrate. So her messaging specifically is around, like, it's okay to trust the groundedness. Like, it doesn't mean stuckness. It doesn't mean rigid. There's something there with that.
Here's Charlotte. She can finish in the rest about the tree and the message.
Charlotte is all about being well fed right now. Well nourished. Well, okay, cool. While on the journey, there's just a lot of information here around, this is a trek, so be prepared, bring your provisions, the aftercare. Like, don't just blindly head on the trek here. Like, arm yourself.
Oh, I love it. Okay, now I've got a Pacific Princess, my guardian angel. There's a million ways to say this. Her name's Min. We'll leave it at that. The Lakota Sioux word for water. She's all over the front page of my website, 3 different ways. There's no one photo, but you can catch the scent of ocean, and that's okay, even if we're still talking about trees. Take it where it will, both of you, Min and Jen.
Yeah,
You can catch the scent of a different ocean, not Maine, but like West Coast if you want, or something exotic. So catch that, Jen, as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just feel West Coasty to me. There's something here, though, even within that, I just keep hearing a messaging around shelter. Because she also bears the medicine of learning how to ride the storm, like ride the wave, right? Learning how to be with the chaos and with the calm that the wave, the ride will bring. So there's something here too, though, around the shelter piece, like knowing when it's appropriate to ride the wave, knowing when it's appropriate to rest, like the timing.
Yeah, love it. Okay, Audrey Hepburn, we talked about. We'll get back to talking the human path, healing modalities, and the real stuff for
Yeah,
these
I'm
types
like,
of
if you
shows.
can go back there. Yeah.
But we're having some fun, so this is good. Here's Audrey Hepburn. You can let her move, wink, smile, shoulder waggle, eyebrow goes up. We know a static photo shouldn't be able to move, but what the heck? If you allow for it, maybe it'll happen in life. And more than that, she's an angel. Let her do her job. That's for the audience. Jen already has talked with her today. And for those who need an extra way of doing this, because you could juggle 7 balls at once, put your hand out to the photo and through an iPhone, my screen to your screen, feel her vibe. Why not? And Jen, what do you have for us?
She's just so infused with grace. So she's really supporting us in choosing this trek with ease and grace versus chaos.
And here's a broader photo of the same photo. And if anybody wants to close their eyes and be gifted a scent, it could be flowers, perfume, ocean again, whatever you wish. I'm going to put up 3 Native American chiefs because we talk so much about the ground. And I'd love to ask about the barefoot running. Could you feel the hills work with you as you went uphill or up a mountain? Did you request that? Because Dull Knife for my running is telling me to talk to the mountain or the hill. In North San Antonio, it's 12% grade. I call them mountains, but obviously they're just hills. If you live in Colorado, you'll laugh at me. But man, are they slow you down, and even your song might not get you through. So I get reminders from Geronimo, Sai Baba, Dull Knife to use what you got. So here's Dull Knife. He's wisdom with some humor. Native American chief, just such a sweetheart.
Mm.
And for those in the audience, you can catch a scent, a sacred scent. It could be tobacco, juniper, sweetgrass, Douglas fir, desert pinon, pine, sage. You get the idea. 40 of them, not all at once. Okay, Jen, what do you got?
There's something here about moss, and he just keeps showing you know, that like sinking feeling, like if you're running barefoot, right, and it's like let it take you, like just let it this energy of surrender almost, but allowing Mother Earth to take it,
Mm.
like to sink into it a little bit. You know, like when it's squishy, like moss,
Mhm.
like that kind of soft forest ground, and it's like it feels so good underneath your feet, so gooey. That's intentional because there's an opportunity for it to be taken, like the sludge, the toxicity, there we go, to be kind of extracted out. Yeah, so he's just offering that messaging of like let it turn over, like it's okay.
And here's red shirt, Lakota Sioux chief, compassion, gentlest mom in the world. It might not be a manly description, but so soft spoken and so to the point. And I know there's a reminder for all of us that there's simply more going on than we would normally perceive in our daily way of going through the brain at the workplace, rushing around, not slowing down, allowing, appreciating, and a bunch of other words with an A. Um,
Mm,
what do you have from red shirt?
there's just something here with like the crispness of just breathing in the fresh like morning air, like just allowing yourself to breathe and just trusting your breath, like connecting that way.
Good. And people can play this over again, put your hand out, feel, ask for a smell, leave your eyes on him, ask a question, listen. It'll sound like your own voice if you're resisting a little bit, but as soon as you let go, full on personality. Okay, you're going to get Geronimo. We're almost done with this. We'll go back to the regular discussion, but Geronimo, he's action. Young version, you'll get older version. We'll all need seatbelts on to see the older version. He's pure action. He's dry wit humor. The first two are formal, proper, yes, no. He's more like, yeah, you already know the answer. Duh. Just do it. The Nike bumper sticker. He's very to the point. He steals the show. 170 figures. Most people are like, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
And what is his reminder for us all?
Oh, that we're ready. No more debating. Yeah. Yeah. We're
Okay,
ready.
but now if everyone can put at least one seatbelt on, traditional car, F1, do two, because you're going to need it with older Geronimo. Now, he's a tiger, he's fierce, he's action. That tiger, him, an angel named John, and Metatron, all you need to go run your business or just run a marathon. Here's older Geronimo, and let his eyes, let him feel his vibe. And now, what's the new or different or additional message here?
Mm, Uh, he has a lot to offer in terms of wisdom. Uh, we are our own guru is sort of the messaging here. You kind of hit upon that too, right? Like we know.
Oh, and now, if you don't mind, could you get a compliment that he's giving you to share out loud? Now, this may put you on the spot. I'm sorry, but it's a compliment. You're here, and let's get it recorded for history's sake. Geronimo's giving you a compliment, and he'll keep it nice, short, and sweet if you're embarrassed at all, but you're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not embarrassed. I mean, I don't know if it's a compliment or more of a mm, like now let's feast, right? Like let's the time has come. We've done good work here, you know. Um, there's an energy of celebration.
Okay, and I'm grabbing a red-tailed hawk for you, spirit animal. My mom drew this, and it's on a cactus, I think, eating a whatever it's called. I forgot the name. Okay, what do you get from red-tailed hawk? Spirit?
Mm, Um, there's something here. So it's actually tying it all together. The slowness is intentional so that you can keep a bird's eye view on the big picture, but then also see all of the moving parts that aren't always pleasant to see. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, totally.
yeah, okay. Because along the way, there are going to be thorns and splinters, and there's going to be pus. It's a very visual, vulgar sort of messaging, but it's like we're encouraged to not overlook those or to escape the things that might not be as glamorous.
Taking it all in, and love is what allows us to appreciate the whole contrast. How about that?
Beautiful.
Roadrunner, which I didn't know I was putting up. I was looking for the hummingbird, but Roadrunner showed up.
Yeah, what's funny is the first thing I ever learned how to draw was the cartoon Roadrunner.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, so what do you get from Roadrunner? And I'm going to lose my English. I want to say spirit animal, spirit guide.
Yeah, so because he's quick with his feet, so there's a lot of energy here around decisiveness. So no more him and hawing, no more yo-yo. And I just saw Geronimo, no more yo-yo. So yeah, he's very clear. So it's decisiveness and then steps. So intelligent steps.
And I will get you talking in a second because I have it. Okay. Oh, I don't know if you can see this. There's a wolf. Okay. This is going to look spooky. So I used the wrong color crayon or whatever you call it when you do digital graphic art. I used red. I should have used blue, a happy color. It could look like mean raccoon, but this is wolf, spirit guide, one of my crew. And I'm sorry, it could look spooky. Please, everybody take a breath and relax. It's this, but it's actually wolf. It's not a raccoon or a badger. And I put the red eyes in there. That's me. I was trying to just draw it so that you could see it easier. But if you could get from wolf, trust that it's Mother Earth wolf. Could you tap into wolf spirit guide? I can get a traditional looking one, so it's friendlier.
Well, I mean, that energy has a lot. It's pack energy is what I keep picking up on. This is not actually a time of the lone wolf. This is the time of the pack. So it's a lot of find your people kind of energy. There's no need to do this alone. Because there are greater lessons to be had and uncovered inside of a pack, because you'll see things and know things about yourself that you can't as a lone wolf.
Okay, so I'm going to digress for a second. When did you first get an inkling that you could do this? Age 5? When you were 10, 18?
No, I mean, I really didn't. I would say it really wasn't until I went out west. And I don't know if it's because then I just had the language for things. And oh, okay, cool. Because integrity has been such a big lesson for me. And so that meant me really supporting myself and saying the thing that I knew was true, even if the other person was going to piss and moan about receiving that truth. And it also meant risking looking and sounding weird.
Right. To me, when you say integrity, it's pulling out all the extra parameters to simply stand in the light to deliver the goods, but also to be for you, I don't know how to say this, crystal clear without any of the trappings from the past. How about that?
Yeah. Well, and it's deeper than that. It's also being able to say the things that I knew were going to be really hard for the other person to hear. So it's not just about like the sunshine and the rainbows and the kittens. For me, it was more being able to really deliver the hard messages from the shadow. And that's really when all of this started coming together for me. Instead of, let me say it this way. If it was a messaging of like, oh yeah, your person is right around the corner, for like that's just a basic.
Yeah.
That always is infused with heart, and it's a yummy message for the other to hear, right? They get enthusiastic about that. However, in the past, I struggled with integrity around delivering the message of like, okay, and you are getting in your own way by X, Y, and Z, right? So because I struggled with delivering that hard message, I wouldn't always say it. So then spirit would actually shut down my flow
Hmm.
because I needed to be available to deliver truth, period.
So no filters, just deliver the goods. Interesting, interesting. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you for that. Okay, hummingbird spirit. I got one at least. I'm finding the wolf.
You're finding the wolf.
Yeah, it'll be a beautiful wolf. You're gonna love this photo of the wolf.
Yeah, the hummingbird has a lot to do with joy and finding pleasure in the craft, right? Because I feel like the hummingbird has so much to do with the art, right? The art of extracting and sort of integrating and getting the nuggets, the gold from the nectar. But there's something here about the craft with the hummingbird.
Okay, we're doing the wolf. You're getting an older wolf, wise looking wolf, and it's something traditional at least. So if we can get one last message from wolf spirit.
Yeah, it still has the same like lean in kind of energy. There's a lot of coming togetherness with the pack.
Okay, because you're on such a roll, and I feel like we're on such a roll. Sai Baba from India, if you don't mind first, put a hand out to the side. Anyone can do this at home. And if you don't mind, give yourself a break. Go touch a tree, barefoot on the grass, do something, breathing, go jump in the shower, jump in the pool, anything to shake yourself up. And then take your steps and own it and let the universe do its job and fill in the rest. That's basically what we're talking about. So here's Sai Baba from India. If you would allow for a scent to come in, that's an incense from a temple you can't see right behind you. You can't buy this in any store or Amazon. Catch a sacred scent. If you want the jungle, but the highest vibration of the Indian jungle from somewhere, have that come to you. For those that are bold, please type this in the comments. Ask for the tiger roar. My thumb is jerking at this tiger, the one that hangs out with the Divine Mother. We'll do him next. Not a spirit guide or animal, more divinity or whatever the word is for that stuff. Big action on everyone's team. You can put your hand out and feel the fur of the tiger. But Sai Baba, oh my God, Mr. Miracles intersects those three religion philosophies, whatever they're called, Islam, Buddhism, and there's a third, Hinduism. But he's compassion, compassion, compassion is all we need to know from 100 plus years ago. What are you getting from Sai Baba? And please receive some sort of a gift, a thank you for your patience here. That's to Jen.
There's just a lot here with him around. I'm chuckling because he's so vibrant. There's just so much color and energy, and I just see lots of yellows and reds and boldness.
And I have one more photo of him to use, which you should love even more.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't mind putting a hand out, looking down and seeing a little bit of light in your hand, a gift from him to you, you can just say, I got it. You don't have to say what it is, or you can share what you're getting.
I got it.
Good. Thank you for doing all that. I'll do one last thing. I think we did this before the show. I'll put a lighter up. This is a great way to get over yourself and out of your own way. Whether we're talking your life story and everything else, it's truly important. You're attached to it. It's your life story, but it could be 28 pages long. Good luck trying to re-edit that to get it down to 10 pages, down to 5, and down to 1 paragraph, down to 1 line on your last breath. I'm love. And you're like, oy vey, why didn't I think of that at the beginning? I could have saved a lot of paper. Okay, here's a lighter, and I know I'm being flippant, but it's to the point. A lighter, just anybody out there at home. No one's listening. You're at home by yourself watching this show. It's 2025. Say what color you see for the light. Now, we can't use Jen because she's going to start seeing angel light around the lighter. So she's my first guest that's banned from answering. But for the audience, just say white, gold, yellow. Congratulations, you saw it. Now, ask angels to come in. Pick your favorite. I am going to help Jen, but now I feel like she's going to go ahead and grab Joy, or Joy's going to come in, or she's going to get a panoply of experts coming to help. And to throw her off, she can hear the tiger roar in the distance as she does a totally different exercise. Because this isn't about, if you're juggling 8 balls at once, you're feeling this way, but you're smelling the ocean, but you're getting an answer. The ego, psyche, your resistance, your story, the part of you that goes, oh my God, I can't, or all the rest. I'm getting stress on that. You can only block 1 or 2 of the juggling balls. The rest will get through. It's just not that sophisticated. That's why we repeat everything. Okay. Experiences, words, tell ourselves the same thoughts over and over again. So Jen, you know what's coming. There's extra light coming. Everyone can see it. Breathe and relax. Who cares? I'll do Yoda's voice to distract, Do not. There is no try. Now, Jen, what are you getting? And why don't you ask for more? Since you're laughing so hard, ask Joy to do moving light around the light.
So what am I getting? There's a
Yeah.
lot of like lavender. So there's a lot of healing that's happening in this session or this episode or whatever we want to call this.
And I did something incredible. I wasn't like off camera with the lighter, so you can't see it. So I did a basic good job keeping it on camera. Sometimes I've done like, this is a private session. If I'm like, oh, how many fingers am I holding up and my hands off camera? That doesn't help. So, okay. Well, bravo for all that. Let's get back to seriousness. But by that, I mean no serious, but by that, I mean serious. Because it's really easy. It's really hard. We could be picking anything. Some of the things we're suggesting people do, life, changing career, changing relationships, giving ourselves a break, loving more, allowing more, whatever we want to make it. I hate to break it to folks. Oh, next lifetime, I'll get to it. Okay, Jen, you've got so much on the table. I feel like it's finger painting. We're in second grade. I don't know if we're the kids, we're the finger paint, or we're the teachers. Take us somewhere because you're an expert at this.
Yeah. Okay. So I just need to get back in my body for a hot second and maybe
yeah, we did a lot of zipping around. So if at home you want to go get a bucket of water, put your feet in it, you're grounded. Trust me.
Yeah. I wonder, I just heard to button up the boundaries piece because we might have left that too open-ended.
Yeah. So here's Joy and Charlotte. They can give you a couple phrases that you're like, oh yeah, and then bam, you're off to the races.
Yeah.
And you have Tiger too.
I know I'm feeling more drawn to Tiger right now.
So do Tiger, because I said we would and we didn't, and I forgot. But if you don't mind, have him be the act of grounding. And I don't know which way your room works, but if it's your left arm can reach out into space, as if you have one of those dogs who's Rhodesian, whatever the giant ones are, a wolfhound walking by, you can feel the tiger walk by and feel the fur under your palm, but give it a chance like it's a real dog walking by, but it's a tiger. This is that divine tiger, pure action. I don't know if the lighting's great. I'll pull the photo up.
No, that's okay. I can, yeah.
And this is for the audience, because I know, Jen, you're already tapping in. You're off to the races. You're like a you're Lewis Hamilton or actually Verstappen these days, because he's winning all the Formula One races. But there's the tiger. And anyone wants to start smelling, hearing, this is a friendly tiger. You're not going to get eaten. And here's the thing. You don't have to understand your skills. Just trust 1% more. And let everybody in the universe, all these loving beings, do their job. So do what you're already doing outbound. Don't worry about the catcher's mitt and receiving. I mean, I'm going to say, yeah, try to be a good receiver, but whatever. Just trust that when you put it out, like, hey, Tiger, I need help. Smooth out my workplace. Keep the people away from me that are rocking my boat here. And I mean bad rocking the boat. Help me be a calmer me and walk next to me. Just walk with me for the next month. And then you might as well be like the next year. And I've found that I'm like, okay, the next 5 years. And then why wouldn't you be like for the rest of my day? So like go shoot the moon, shoot for the moon, shoot the moon, whatever the card game thing is, but reach for the stars, but reach for the next universe. I don't think anyone's ever said that. I just coined a phrase.
Yeah, you did. You did. No, I love this. What actually came forward is for us to talk a little bit about caretaking versus nurturing. Because the cat, this again is the energy of integrity, is incredibly intentional, right? Around when they hunt versus when they rest versus when they're tending to the pack versus when they're not. So if you're open, if that resonates, I to talk a little bit about, oh yeah.
Oh, you're rocking this. I loved what you just said. Yeah, more on this.
Well, because we can't talk about being highly sensitive and then kind of talk about boundaries without actually getting to the meat of this, which is that many of us who identify as sensitives or highly empathic, right? People who just feel, often we're conditioned into the space of caretaking. And caretaking, it's typically not ill intent. We come because we want to help, right? And I'm going to use this language very specifically right now. It's going to sound a little provocative, but I'm going to go there if that's okay. So to give like everyone's like gorgeous intellect just a little bit of context here around like what are we talking about. So caretaking assumes that when we stand in front of someone who is suffering, because most of us we're so tuned in to the whole system, right? We know what people need, we know how to take care of things, we show up as the fixers, the whole thing. We mean well because we want to help. But actually, what happens is energetically, we convey to that person that they are a victim to their circumstance. And in that moment, there is an exchange. And we take on their burdens. We say, you know what, give it to me. I know just what to do. And we think we're helping. However, what we do is we strip the other the right to their process.
Hmm.
So, in other words, we strip them the right to learn their lesson.
And there's a great desire in society to do this because our obstacles are actually our opportunity for growth and expansion. It's what we came in to do. And we view it as like, oh my God, I got to take away the suffering.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and so here's the beautiful thing. Once you decide that your piece is non-negotiable, you will have I know, here it is again.
I love that phrase. I wrote it down and we were coming back to it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Then you actually will begin the work of shifting out of caretaking and move more towards the space of showing up as the uber nurturer. Because when you show up as the nurturer, you get to walk beside someone who is suffering, maybe hold their hand, and the other one's holding a mirror, right? And the energetic exchange is, I see you. Yeah, this is insane. This is hard. And you are incredibly resourceful. And I know you know what you need to thrive. And I'll walk with you. But you're no longer like negotiating your own wellness, you're not jumping, in other words, like out of your own boat to make someone else comfortable, because you see that like struggle is intentional. We already talked about this in the sense of like life comes with pain.
Yeah.
There's no like, right? So even if you mean well, and you show up caretaking, they actually will have a prolonged experience with pain because now they're robbed of the right
I
to
loved your boat example. You're in your boat, you see their boat has a leak. Now, instead of getting out of your boat and helping them bail and doing all that other fixing stuff, can we toss them a roll of duct tape? That's what I want to know. And will it work?
Right. So this is why language matters. When you nurture, you are in your boat. Maybe you tether up on the same dock.
Yeah.
Right there, you see that they've got a hole in their hull, and you're like, "Ooh, okay, that looks intense." Are you open to feedback? Are you open to support? You know, this is what I have for supplies. This is what I can offer you. Like
And
that.
often this person with the leaky boat has got to go to a bunch of other boats first before they own their own boatmanship. They go around and they let people fix their boats, but it gets another leak for some reason, and they don't want to get the actual situation resolved. I got to do some classic quotes for you about healers because you're living and breathing it. A healer is simply someone who helps a person confront opposing forces within him or herself to promote health. A true healer kindles the power already within another. That's, I think, James T. Miller. He's got two little books behind me: The Art of Listening and The Art of Being a Healing Presence. To Willow Green. You can find him. They're really rare books. Don't accept $70 prices for those. You can get them for 12 or 15. Gorgeous, thin little books. Okay. A healer is someone who's able to raise their frequency to connect to the source light energy while keeping themselves clear and fully connected. They use this elevated frequency to help others directly or indirectly. When you're a healing presence, you're an artist, and one or two more here. To heal is to make whole. And one of the most powerful things a healer can do for someone as a healing presence is simply believe. And I think that's James T. Miller again. We could just pull that book off the shelf up here, and he has gorgeousness all over. Okay, so there was a question in there, and that is, how is it going for you with the new you, with the new greater allowing with a capital A, and how much, I know you've got to let it go when you've helped somebody. You can do this for a little bit, but how satisfying has it been, this new reiteration of you helping others? And have you noticed how your skills get blown out even further?
Yes and yes. All the yes. So in supporting others, it's not draining. If anything, I would say the only thing that was draining was because it's a meditative space for me to hold such a tight container
Mm,
so that I can really tune in and follow the tethers, and expose their core wounds, and then we get to really do the work around that. That's just the meditative space. So I've had to learn how to increase my stamina. So like a runner, right? A marathon runner, you're not just going to hit the ground running with sneaks 3 miles in, your body's going to be like, dude, we're dead. Like this is a bad idea, injury. So it's been years to be able to get my vessel to the point where I can hold that high frequency so that I can hold them in integrity while they do the work with honesty.
mm,
It's so that has been really yummy for me to experience. I don't The drain is never, it might be if I had a poor night's sleep, but it's not from doing the work. Um so that was first part of your question. The second part was more personally, or yeah, oh my God. I was stuck in struggle land for a real long while. Depression was my ride or die. It was my crutch. It was my bestie. I really leaned into that. I really struggled with my own sort of psychosis, my own. So it's been really sweet for me to experience myself as the wise woman
mm,
and to hold myself as the wise woman, knowing that I don't ever have to look back to go forward.
mhm.
It's, um, I'll say it this way because this feels like it might be relatable. Many of us are taught how to process our process, and we get stuck feeling our feelings, thinking our thought, right? We just said, well, okay. The real breakthrough for me was when I realized, like, oh, it's only ever about doing the work, interrupting the patterns with something spiritual and grounding. It's never ever been about why, like the pursuit of the why.
Mhm.
It's only ever compounded the thing. So once I got that, then everything shifted for me.
I had jump in the injecting of stillness between thoughts, like you would do with meditation to buy yourself breathing room. But
Sure.
yet, on the processing front, I have seen so many people over the last 10 or 12 years who are like, I got to process this. They've just met angels or seen angels or gotten a bunch of answers. But the brain wants to get in there and get a clipboard real fast and be like, let's get in there and process, because now
Yeah.
we can undo everything. We just got a bunch of, we opened openness, we just got a bunch of light in there. We're feeling lighter, but now we got to go back in and we got to segue everything and segment it and structure it so we can be right back where we started. Because processing is processing. It can work. It can be like just trapping yourself all over again in a new way.
Yeah. No, and it's just a form of escapism. I mean, the cool thing is that when you do the work, so being spiritual just means that. It means that you're doing the work to stay connected to love.
Yeah.
But we are charged with the task of learning how to interrupt our patterns. Um, then from there, once you interrupt and you regulate, uh, I'm going to go on the record and say 100% of the time, the ahas come. Oh, right. Those conscious moments where you're like, oh my God, okay, that's what that was about. And then you up level.
So we
It's
just
very,
mentioned the word love, which unconditional love, the universal light. I'm skipping like 19 other ways to say it. Consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Just life. There we go. Compassion for all is life. Let's bring in an angel just to give you some, like, you're an actor on the round Shakespeare stage in London. You get fed a couple lines right now. You can answer this straight off, but I'm going to put Joy, another angel, Heather, and Charlotte up to talk about the most important thing. You'll recognize it on your last breath as your life flashes back and everything else, or you can start doing it anytime more you wish. Here's Joy. What does she have to say as a reminder to you? And you're like, oh, yeah, let's talk about this.
her most beautiful message is everything is always working out for you.
And
Yeah, she's like, "Ba-da-da-bum."
and Mary, I know the three chiefs said about Mary, if we all had her faith and trust, there'd be no more. She is love. She's everything we need. If we all had her faith and trust, there'd be no more need for fear or worry. So just you've got a bucket. The empty air part, let's say, is the thinking, which most of us have like a drop of love, or, we have a whole bucket of water, but let's say our back is turned. We refuse to look at our bucket of water. And our bucket's really an ocean of love. Okay, here's Charlotte, worst metaphor ever. Here's Charlotte. What does she say about love, your heart, no limits?
There's something here around the overthinking that we get stuck with. It just has more to do with needs. We have needs that are going unmet. And if we just met our own needs, our basic needs, for creature comforts and love and rest, that we wouldn't be so activated. We wouldn't be so, I just keep hearing disoriented.
Hanging around like either a ricocheting BB gun or a ping pong ball or a
Yeah. She just said it's simpler. It's way simpler. She just keeps doing this. She's like, smaller, smaller, smaller. She's like, it's simpler.
Yeah. Okay, new angel, but not so new. Heather, her name rearranged, dump a couple letters, is the word heart. She makes hearts. I'll try to show a few. I've seen her in human form in Sweden, Hawaii, New York, Austin bookstore. It's a long story. You can see angels in human form. Just put the request out. It'll be the sparkly-eyed stranger next week holding the coffee shop door open. Try to make it a sacred request. That just means from the heart. Take a breath on it. Tap your lucky statue. Go hug a tree. Talk to your falcon flying by. The point is, you've got no limits. Here's Heather, and she's all about compassion. She is like Wonder Woman, Amazonian goddess. She could look African-American to you from Africa. She's totally connected to the land. South Africans who meet her feel their homeland, the soil. And what are you getting from Heather?
Yeah, she's got a really sweet message around you are on purpose. Yeah.
And I'll give, here's another Heather.
Oh, yeah.
And one more little reminder from her. And let the blues people for the audience sink in, if you would.
Yeah. She's got a lot of you belong here kind of energy. Yeah.
And here's one last one. Okay, what do we need to cover? Like, let's back up. You've got to practice. How do you do, if somebody wanted to grab you for an hour, can they do, you don't do free consults. So grabbing you for an hour, they go to your website, they book there. And is it by an hour, 3 hours? How's it work?
I mean, so we do initially, we do like a 20-minute little complimentary sort of, because it's important for me to have the warm connection there, right? And this work is big work. This is like the way that I work with clients is one of those once in a lifetime transformations. And you kind of want to be connected with your mentor. Like you kind of want to know that that's so it's very rare that I get someone that just comes in for a one-off session and then they're gone. They're usually in. So typically I start with what I call a psychic life reading. And that this might sound overwhelming, but it's not. It is a lot, but it's truth, right? So it's like we kind of take everything out of the closets.
Yeah.
And we put it in the living room. So you've got your core quality is exposed. So your core essence, what you came into this lifetime with.
Yep.
Your core preferred methods of self-sabotage, because that's the yummy stuff. That's the stuff that's getting in the way. And the lessons. So it's just super powerful self-knowledge around what's making you tick. And on paper, that sounds overwhelming. However, you feel incredibly seen, because it is the epitome of like a judgment-free zone. Like you just get to show up completely spiritually naked. And
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, like let's wave that flag, Yeah. And the social worker in me really loves the homework piece. So there's also some things that you can kind of do to implement some strategy. And if you decide that you're really ready to do the work, then I offer the spiritual coaching um, to really support you in implementing.
Mm.
So, but you kind of have to know that you're ready for that. Because as a psychic, I see pathways for people who are at a point of transition. And so you're exposed every session,
Yeah.
right? It's like new layers are exposed, but there's integration and there's love and nourishment. It's like the whole thing comes. Um,
But you're
so it's
kind of like an architect engineer on this. The plot of
yeah,
land is on a little bit of a slope. So there's got to be excavation. We're talking, you got to have surveyors. If it ain't done right, your pool is sliding off the backyard, if not the house itself. So, and we want to build a good foundation so that everything else that comes next is a lot of fun.
yeah. And you've already used this word a couple of times, right? Like my capacity to laser in.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what makes the work also so beneficial, is because it's not years
Mm-hmm.
of, it's like maybe 2 or 3 months of like splicing in, because I'm going to say it this way, and again, it's a little provocative, but it's like my bullshit meter is no joke. And I want to call you forward, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to serve you to pay someone to then not do the work, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like we get to play in that space, that space of like, okay, like, me too. I put myself through this too. So I understand what I'm asking of you. And let's go there. Let's do that. So it's very like we get in there. We get into the soul core kind of wounds.
I love this. Look, I'm going to go back to some more angels for you. So you just think of this as connecting Archangel Michael, a Harmony, a
Ah,
Dale, a Claire who's resilience, and Mac, don't call her Mackenzie. She's everything plants, animals, nature. We'll do her first. Here's Mac, everything plants, animals, and nature. You can hear whatever she wants to bring up and you guys would like to chat about. And if you don't mind catching like that running mountaintop open air smell, like you're rushing through the woods. And what does Mac have as a reminder for all of us?
the body speaks.
And you better listen. Okay.
Yes.
Um, you'll know it on a run. You're not going to be able to
I
fake your
know.
body out when it's like, hey, man, I don't know if I can go another kilometer, another mile. Here's Claire. She's resilient. She's one of my dog's guardian angels. That doesn't mean she doesn't serve us humans. Don't worry about it. Angels come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, all different backgrounds. If you need a way to reference this because you're trying to process, let's do that Marvel or whatever the other competing comic book movie thing is. It's Green Lantern. They all wore those same uniforms, but they had a lot of different looks to them from all over.
Mm.
What do you have from Claire?
There's something here around resting our minds so we can repair our hearts. So she's kind of pointing towards a lot of like intellectual pursuits as a way of engaging with the boredom. Yeah, right. That our intellect, oh, this is so cool, sprouts weeds because there's a sensation of boredom. Like our ego constantly needs something to digest.
Hmm.
So her messaging is really clear and like, okay, just give it something busy to do so that you can actually drop in and repair your heart.
Yeah, enjoy some tasks that allow you to park the mind. It could be vacuuming, it could be the garden, it could be running, it could be
Faith.
just playing a video game. I'm not recommending video games in the middle of a spiritual thing. Hey, it could be a board game. So it's much
Right.
more classic. I didn't mean first person shooter game. So, okay, Archangel Michael, one way. This should be a fun one for you. And there's lines in this photo. I'll see if I can get it to come out a little bit more. Got it?
Yeah. He's are you familiar with Trevor Hall?
Ooh, no. Who?
He's an artist. There's a song called Find Your Center. Or I think it's called Find Your Center. Or Remember. Oh, I think it's called Remember. Remember who you are, find your center. Thank you. So he just has that on repeat.
Nice. Okay, here's 4 archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. It doesn't matter which is which, but I got it written on an envelope over here. I'll just give one hint. Anyone can figure it out on your own, and that's the whole point of life. I'm going to mention Raphael is the tallest of the 4 rainbow pie slices. 4 archangels. And there's 3 more off camera. I cropped it. So Zadkiel, Shamuel, and Jophiel are off camera, but we don't need them right now. No offense. My head leaning out to the side is just to make you laugh. So
Well done. Well played.
exactly. Exactly. Okay. I'm going to pull back. What did you get from the 4?
There's something there around the same kind of wolf energy. Actually, I kept seeing the wolf. So it's a lot of the same messaging of the pack.
And here's all of them combined, like 7 of them. Different photo. One day I'm like, hearing, go step out of my house, shoot a photo over the roof. Go figure. This is like 10 years ago. But here's all the archangels. And if you don't mind, put your hand up to the photo, at least the audience. Jen may or may not want to do this. It's up to her. But you can feel the vibe come through you, and you can go beyond words, which is kind of what she's already doing. And then she has to translate it back into words. But what are you getting from all 7 right now?
Powerful, man. Power, power, power.
I just saw a movement behind you on your chair. Your right shoulder, I saw a movement like go like this, but I don't know how to do it. So like that, that's crazy. I don't know if that's going to show up on videotape, but wild. Okay. It was just a little thing of light or something. So, okay. Your cat didn't walk by, your dog or a parakeet fly by.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's Harmony. She's Harmony. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but of course she picked the word tranquility. Don't ask me. She's part of the, so there's a little cabal that is a cute cabal: joy, harmony, faith, hope, joy, grace. I think you get the pattern. But there's one, Presley, who's the name of my cat trying to break into the office right now. Presley's the interconnectedness of all. She wrote in on Elvis Presley movies with me and said, just call me Presley. Go figure. And she got stuck. If you're the interconnectedness of all, Angel, what are you going to call yourself? Why not Elvis Presley or Presley? So obviously harmony, grace, faith, hope. They got the, is it the short stick? They got it easy. Grace, again, joy, they've got it easy. Those are actual names. So here's Harmony. I bought you time, Jen. What does Harmony have for you?
There's a lot of own it kind of energy with Harmony.
Ooh.
Like, okay. Specifically, she just said, once you name it, you claim it.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like a bumper sticker or a t-shirt or a whole product line. I love it. That was really good. Okay, I don't know how Emily snuck in, but we'll take Emily. She's another angel. I'm going to put her up, then Dale. We're probably done with that whole phase of the show. But here's Emily. She's guidance. She's a sweetheart. Another one of my dogs, a different dog. My dog, Joy, who's named after Joy, didn't get Joy as a guardian angel, but basically she's a guardian angel as well. This is Emily, her official guardian angel. Everyone has a guardian angel. It's the scariest question in the world. I could have somebody from Australia get the record's 9 hours, 8 hours, 48 pages of answers. But when it comes to their guardian angel, they get panicky. They're like, oh my God, they overthink it. Welcome to being human. So let Emily do her job for folks out there. Get out of your own way. Do basic listening. That's it.
Yeah.
What'd you get from Emily?
She's got a really sweet, so I just keep seeing a tower, the tower right on fire.
And that's the tarot card thing?
Yeah. But she just keeps offering the reminder that all storms run out of water. And so when it's sort of that messaging of like, we get so fixed. Oh, okay, cool. This is, sorry, looping back into the red hawk here and the tree. We get so focused in sometimes, and we get stuck in the entrapment of these little blips of time, right? We get stuck in these traumatic catalytic events. We lose sight of the big picture. So she's offering the messaging of like, so zone out in those moments where you feel, right, really stuck and captured and like all the things stagnant. Those are not the times to tunnel vision even more and barrel through. It's the time to pause and actually zone out, to connect back into the big picture, because they really are just these little blips of time. She just keeps saying that we forget them. The thing right now today that's causing stress, you don't even remember 2 days from. Yeah, it's
This too shall pass. And
yeah,
also just your focus, it's fine. Don't try to hide from it. Don't make it twice as big, but also don't feed it all your energy.
no, because it's in the hyper focusing that we lose our oh, we flip from we flip into high attachment. Thank you.
So think Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass, but not the third grader trying to burn the blade and start a
Right.
blade. There's too much focus
Yeah,
there. I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
now I'm going to do a little intro for Dale. Oh my God. Coach, life coach, athletics, coached a famous gymnast who won a lot of gold medals. Not important. You can see Dale full on in human form. I've seen him in so many different ways. I freaked out. I wasn't meant to talk to him, but I was walking out of a crystal shop. It's 70 degrees in a January in Austin. I am walking Austin slow, like you get out of a crystal shop, real slow, like slower than what I just did. And the parking lot's full. I had parked across the street, across South Lamar, if people know Austin. And I'm look over to the left and I see a surgeon from the neck down, all those blue scrubs. And then I see Dave Matthews, the most manicured, like rock star you've ever seen, perfectly, but tons of hair. How do you be a surgeon? How can you be a doctor with this much hair? So somehow Hollywooded out up here. Angels can show up any way you need. And the eyes connect. And this guy does the, without any words, does that, whatever the look is that, you know, charismatic person can do, that conveys something. I get sizzled. I switched to New York City walking mode. I am like an Olympic speed walker all of a sudden. I'm good at talking fast, walking fast, eating fast. I'm hitting that crosswalk button to get to my car on the other side 40 times, and he's standing next to me. Never exchanged a word. I could only bring myself to like talk to him twice. I'm feeling sizzled. It wasn't meant to be. It was just him showing up. Here's Dale. He looks like Greg Kinnear if you see him, or if you want George Clooney, fine, do George Clooney. Blue Hawaiian shirt, dark navy blue. But that's a lot of intro for an angel who's super sweet, endearing, down to earth. He was Henry at Henry's Sandwich Shop in Nantucket when I worked for the police department. He would wink and stick a brownie in my bag. It wasn't the owner. Somehow he stopped time and space and jumped in, and I could not afford that brownie. I wanted it. I paid for my sandwich, so you know, and then he would wink. He's the owner. He can do anything he wants. He'd put a brownie in my bag, and I would be the happiest guy eating a brownie under the tree 15 minutes later. So here's Dale. That was a huge introduction. But oh, and anything you need at home, please just ask. Make it a sacred request. Be like, Dale, I could use some advice. And listen, it'll be a little whisper.
Mhm.
And what have you got for us, Jen?
He's got a really sweet messaging around turning it over. Um, uh, he just keeps saying, calling in the light to turn it over. Because we, let me say it this way, because it's the vision coming in. Many of us, when things happen or we experience emotions, so it's a wave, right? So it gets activated, it comes in, and then we and we hold on to it. We're like, it's my precious, it's mine, it can't go anywhere, I have to process. And he's just vigorously shaking his head, and he's like, no, that's the exact moment to actually let it go back out with the exhale, and you surrender it, you turn it over, you call in the light, so that you're still connected, right? You're still in balance.
And that's the surrender that everybody's talking about, whether they know it or not. It's not surrendering your identity, your flavor, your personality at all, or to an organization. It's the let it wash, feel what you feel, do not judge.
Yeah, honor your feelings, work your process, and let it go. There's so much here around letting go, but it can only happen through surrender.
Okay, so let's do something fun. This is planting the seed for the future. You're not going to say anything out loud. Just say got it when you got it. I'm going to pick 3 angels for you for a future little book that we're all going to enjoy reading in the next 5 years. Here is Joy, Charlotte, and Dale. And if you don't mind going more at the symphony level so that you can get the whole darn book and just get a wave of light that you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go running on that one later. Maybe the weekend or something. And everyone's always percolating around on projects, but make sure you get a nice little zip to say thank you for coming on today. And then if you don't mind sharing one little aspect of the book so we know we had a tiny little moment here today on the show, and then we can have you come back on to talk about the book for sure one day in the future. We're as much marketing as we are entertainment on this show. So we just did a little footprint, and now she's going to feel pressured to come back on. Kidding?
No, I'm excited because I'm like, it's the healer exposed is what, yes.
So it isn't just about sticking the other person in the spotlight. It's how you had to do your own tap dancing first before you could, wherever that metaphor was going. Exactly.
I got it. Yeah.
I was thinking of the Danny Kane, what's his name? Singing in the Rain fellow, Kay? Something, I forgot his name. The famous, there's 2 or 3, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers used to dance, and then Audrey Hepburn was with Danny Kaye, I think, or somebody, the Singing in the Rain famous entertainer. Okay, so back to this. What are the final few takeaways that are just keep your chin up, walk straight, own your path, own your situations, don't get too involved, don't get trapped, don't pull a Vietnam. What are some of your reminders, takeaways for folks about life? It happens, by the way.
Life does happen for us. Let's just be clear. And I'm going to go on the record and say that you 100% of the time know when you are making a choice that is out of your alignment. Ooh. We always get those hits, which is fine. This is all about empowering you to just own it. Just own your choices.
So if you just slow down and pay attention a little more, you could avoid half the energy expenditure, but sometimes it takes 20 years of repeating the behavior before you're going to pay attention, right?
Well, that's your choice. You have free will to choose to prolong your experience with pain or to shorten it.
Okay, but now let's come back in. I'm your publicist. That's what I did for 18 years in New York City, all over the globe. They paid me a lot of money. I had a lot of fun. I did 1,100 media interviews in one single year. I lined up an expert on one side, a journalist on another, let them make music together. I could just play the violin. I couldn't guarantee the horses would actually drink together. Most of the time they did. And I kind of feel like that's what I do with angels and people, and I try to stay out of the details. But now, what do you do for the, 1 out of 10 people, 1 out of 100 listening are really been zinged on this particular show because you have resonated. Now, remind us all again, if they can get to your doorstep, if they can write an email, if they can contact you on the website through the forum, what is it that you're not promising, guaranteeing anything, but you do what you do? Give us the 4 or 5, again, billboards of what you do exactly. How do you doing a little bit of triage, a little bit of evaluation, and then you point some marathons, some 5Ks, some treks, some open fields where you just walk. It doesn't all have to be running.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, it's very much so we have to go slow in order to go fast. That's cool. So just in a Cliff Notes version, so I serve as a psychic spiritual coach and a Reiki Master teacher. I see pathways for people who are at a point of transition. And to see those pathways, that means that I also can laser focus in on all of your juicy preferred methods of self-sabotage, the core wounds. So like fear of exposure, deprivation, like those sorts of core wounds. I see the symptoms that you have, the protector parts. So things like indecision, overwhelm, depression, under earning. These are all symptoms of these core wounds. So the work that I do with clients it's very energetic, it's very spiritual. We're crossing all these lifetimes. There's a lot of journeying, inner kiddo work, somatic work. So you get tons and tons and tons of tools so that you are not dependent on another. You really, this is the whole thing around empowerment. You get powerful self-knowledge. I teach you, I mentor you. You then implement these strategies in your own life, feel the yumminess from being so aligned, and then, right, then you do in your own life. So it's that once in a lifetime transformation. It's when you really have reached that threshold of like, okay, all of this stuff is on repeat, right? Same partner, different day, like just all the things. So it's not necessarily even about breaking through, it's about evolving.
I
So
love it. Beautifully well said. I was pulling up a photo for a second from now when I was looking down. Hey, I'm going to light some sage. I'm going to blow it your way. You can share what you want to share, but this is to say thank you an extra way. And for the audience as well. I really feel like we've hit a certain vibe, and I think people at home are going to feel it. So could you please type out a comment, a compliment, a particular phrase that resonated to let Jen know that she rocked it today, fully rocked it. I'm saying it. Why wait till we stop taping to tell her after the show when she should hear it on the show? Here's Sage, everyone catch it. But if you could please start typing the comments, hit the like button, share this with a relative, share it with a friend. You're not telling them anything. Just be like, hey, there's a show. It's absolutely wild and crazy. They blow sage through the screen. As a guest on 40 shows in the last year, I was doing this. Producers, 2 Brisbane, Australian podcast hosts are smelling it while they're sitting on the same couch. They're like, oh my God, the rest. So the bottom line is there's no limits in life. Time and space isn't what we think. If you're busy processing, you're like, oh my God, a year's a year. But a year can be like an hour, or a year can feel like 10 years. It depends which way you want the year to go. You can manipulate. No, I don't like that word. You can enjoy more. You can stretch time a little. You can bring in more of what you should be enjoying. Okay, I got to stuff this out or I'm going to have a room full of smoke. So hold on one second. Okay, there we go. So last couple of angels, I don't know how I'm doing this again, because you've just done probably the most of anybody this entire year out of 50 episodes that it will be. Here's Joy. Final reminder from Joy.
Well, it's very basic, right? We are all love. We are love. Yeah.
And then if you don't mind getting 3 compliments, you're required. I'm making it a mandatory thing. You got to share one out loud. But get a beautiful, great job from Charlotte. Get whooshed as well. So you're like, oh my God, take a deep breath, feel love. But unfortunately, we're putting you on the spotlight, the hot seat. What's the one compliment she says? Yeah, you can share this one, honey.
Yeah, well, she's got her hand on my left shoulder, actually, and she's very clear about she's just showing me the journey and that my hard lessons are behind me. Yeah, she's really clear that like it's okay now to rest, right? Like kind of that, like to enjoy.
I heard you've arrived, and I'm saying it now, and I'm getting fried on my back. Okay, so here's Joy and Charlotte. I don't ever like to. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps all over. I'm going to put my photo, the one you saw earlier of my mom and dad, Michael Andre Ford Sr., because I'm junior. He died in 1970 when I was 2. It was his time to go. He just turned 26. It was off the coast of Italy, Navy fighter pilot type, but he was the backseater in an F-4 Phantom. Nighttime crash. They didn't recover the body. In 1998, they put him in Arlington. No body recovered, but they got front page of the Washington Post story. Full military honors. My mom passed when I was turning 23. It was her time to go. 44, an artist, great at connecting people. One of those things, again, in my blood. Art takes me 20 hours to do what a good artist does in an hour. Here's Joy and Charlotte. Can I get permission, though, to put that photo up? I don't want to pry, but I'm going to put them up. They have paid the bills. And I know 1970 sounds like a long time ago, but they have practical on the ground. They're not angels, but they're unconditional love. They're reconciled. They have practical advice, reminders for us all to live our life more. And they have hundreds of people have seen them. So, I mean, I'm off the hook, but thumbs up. Can I put them up? Okay. So here's Barb and Mike Sr. and showing in their 20s, and they're sweethearts.
Oh, young. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you get something privately for you with my mom kind of pointing her finger and waggling it in a beautiful, like, compliment way, but also like keep going?
Yeah. She's got a little don't forget to dance kind of energy.
Oh. And then my dad is super quiet, but he'll speak up, but just a few words, get something personal from them. And then the reminders coming for all of us. And you're doing a great service. So I'm so sorry to bring up personal.
No, you're fine. He has a lot of messaging around, and don't forget about the home. Like, don't forget to tend to the home. Right? That we all need roots kind of energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay. So now my mom's reminder is it the don't forget to dance for all of us, or was that just you?
Oh, in this moment, it feels like it could apply to probably all of us, but
Yep.
I also highly resonated with it.
Oh,
So
good. I'll lead with Geronimo because we got to do, or here, you choose, or it'll be all three, just because you're on a roll. So Geronimo, dull knife, red shirt. One last quick thing. I'm peeking to see if I've got them on screen. I do.
yeah, there's with the three of them together, there's a lot of first we feast, then we trek kind of energy. So it's like get so it's that whole spirit, body, mind thing, right? It's like, let's uncap our joy first, let's feed our spirits, then let's get busy with the work.
And I always introduce them purposely out of order. I always say it's dull knife, red shirt, Geronimo, and that's wisdom, compassion, and action. But it's actually supposed to be, I'm waiting for the day, and I've waited 12 years for someone to point this out. It's actually supposed to be red shirt, dull knife, and Geronimo. And so the reason is it's heart first, be in your heart. From that comes wisdom, which allows for pure action, no thought. And that's the proper order. And they're in the wrong way on my wall up there. I have original drawings from the guy who did Mad Magazine, Jack Davis. He did 16,000 drawings or 12,000 before computers existed. But when my dad died in 1970, a woman, a neighbor in Virginia Beach, Virginia, near Oceana, just delivered these three beautiful drawings. And I've probably put them up on the show before. And she gave them to my mom for protection. And they are absolutely gorgeous. But so people have reacted to these. I used to park them. Here's Dull Knife's drawing.
Oh, wow. Oh.
And here's Red Shirt's drawing. And these have always hung over my bed, not as an adult, as a kid, and then in my office as an adult. And then finally, last but not least, Geronimo. A little bit of damage there, but restored. There's Geronimo. If you could get one last parting word that resonates with your world as well, where you're like, oh my God, I need to make that a bumper sticker for sale on my website.
Yeah, he just has a really sweet messaging around we are all free. Right, this notion that like we have to heal in order to be free, we have to choose different, like we're free now as we are.
And last but not least, I got all this stuff before the show in the shower and elsewhere, and I'm like, I'll never have time to bring this up. But of course, you tapped right into it that I'm supposed to say this. There's a little quote from Listening to Angels, $4.99 on Amazon, written by angels. I did not write any of this. Being is believing in all. You do not need to be like anyone else. Be you. Smile more, think less. Do not permit others to dictate your well-being. Own your own being and life. Love more and allow more. You can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason. And that is my final concluding thing. Did you like that?
Yeah, it's essentially what Geronimo was saying, like now, right?
And he must have been the one pointing it out in the book, because I had that picked out. I did forget about it. I was not going to mention it. I forget everything. But thank goodness they know how to run the show, not me. Well, Jen, I've got to thank you. You have been so entertaining. We will have you back on spring or summer next year without the book. I'm assuming you're not about to drop one in the next 3 months. Do you already have plans to do a book, or is it sometime in the future?
It's it's definitely there. It's been percolating. I'm feeling the pull. Yeah.
Here's the kick in the pants for you. Keep it to yourself. Good. Okay, so thank you, Jen Cabot in Maine, jennifercabot.com. That's CABOT, spiritual transformation, psychic, and more, Reiki Master, Reiki teacher. Again, much more than that. I think everyone has gotten a good sense for your being, for your conscientiousness, and for your great love.
Thank you. It was such an honor to share in
Oh,
your and everyone else's. So thank you.
thank you for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Yeah, perfect. All right, take care.